I've got the looks and the charm of an old movie star. Cary Grant, if you will, so I find it bizarre that this girl should refuse to step into my car. She must be shy, she'll come around, it's just a matter of time. Aurora, Aurora, Aurora.
Hey there, Screen Beans, and welcome to Screen Snark, the podcast that celebrates all of the shows that are in our eyes, on our minds, and in our hearts. I am Rachel Quirky Shank.
And I am Matt, a.k.a. Stormageddon.
That's
it. That's it.
Yeah.
No bits?
Welcome, everyone.
No bits.
No bit. Nah, I'm gonna skip bits because I'm bursting 2 bits to welcome our guest, who I forgot how to pronounce their last name. So welcome to the show. A lovely bastion of actual play goodness that exists on Twitch.
Oh, no.
Please welcome Katie
DeMatteis.
DeMatteis.
You,
Nailed
Rachel.
it. I had
Nailed
one
Smooth
job.
sailing.
I think
One
you did great.
job as a podcast interview personage, and I fucked up.
I forgive you, and I love you anyway, and you are perfect.
My angel. Thank you so much for
Oh
coming
my
on
gosh,
the show.
thank you for having me. I'm very excited. This is going to be fun.
We're so excited. It's funny, when you and I connected Katie for SideQuest, which we'll talk about more later,
Yes.
It was through Case, and I had no idea you knew Rachel, and then I saw Rachel tweeting about the shows, and I was like, oh, okay. So there's a whole big circle of communication.
A whole big
big
community. We got Rachel through Pat
cesspool.
Edwards, so there's
Yeah.
like
Amazing.
a whole, just a
Pat's
big
the best, too.
conglomeration of nerds who all know each other, and it's wonderful.
All previous guests of this very podcast, too.
Oh my gosh. Amazing.
And we'll talk more about all the awesome actual play stuff you do in a bit. But before we do that, we, of course, as always, will go around talking about the most recent thing we watched. And also, as always, I will go first. You know, like you do. And so the thing I brought is actually a thing I've been wanting to watch for a while, but I missed in theaters. And unfortunately, we're back on the superhero train. Sorry, we don't deviate for very long. But this was one I was excited for a while, not for its lead actor, but for its second build actor. But it is the movie Black Adam, the DC epic starring Dwayne "The Rock" Johnson. That
Really upending the hierarchy of DC Studios.
Yes.
he wasn't
Black
wrong.
Adam.
He wasn't wrong. I had wanted to see it for a while. And don't get me wrong, like I love The Rock. I grew up watching wrestling. I've loved a lot of his movies. But I was actually excited for Aldous Hodge to play Hawkman, Carter Hall, because I, A, love Hawkman as a character I always have, and B, I love Aldous Hodge. I'm a big Leverage stan, especially Leverage Redemption, because they got rid of the one guy, and he sucked. I had been wanting to see it, and then I missed it in theaters. I had the post-credit scene spoiled for me, as most of us did, because a famous actor came back to play a character he hadn't in a while. And we'll talk about that in a minute, maybe. But all in all, I thought it was fine to watch it on my computer at home for no extra money other than what we're paying for HBO Max, which is nothing because we get it from my brother. Don't come for me, HBO cops. I don't know.
It's okay.
Cops
They're
are
not
bad.
going to last long enough to get you. They're going to just become Discovery Plus or
Yeah.
Something like that.
HBO's having a moment.
something. Struggling.
So much, but I enjoyed it. I thought it was fine. I think that unfortunately this film fell into the traps that Rachel, you often complain about with the MCU, that like I feel like it's another superhero movie. Like I don't think it was bad on any level. A lot of people said they didn't like it. I thought it was fine. I thought The Rock was great for the character he was trying to play, but like Black Adam as a character is not multidimensional. He becomes multidimensional later, I feel like, but like he is kind of a archetypal character. I feel like Case has talked about this a lot on Men of Steel. And so, like, I wasn't as excited to see him. However, Aldous Hodge, Pierce Brosnan, Noah Centineo, Sarah Sahia, all of them and Quintessa Swindle, all of them who were playing like the surrounding supporting cast, I think were so much more interesting. Atom Smasher was really great to see this like inexperienced hero. I loved that they put Cyclone in this film because I like Cyclone as a character and like has literally not really been in anything in modern stuff. But the movie itself was pretty cookie cutter, you know. He's the anti-hero, like he's this character of myth and legend, then he's brought back. He is kind of a wild card, and so what are they? Not the Justice League, they're the Justice Society.
The Justice Society
are brought in to handle him, and honestly, the most fun for me as someone who's enjoyed Pierce Brosnan's performances for years and years since the Bond days and even before, to see him have fun as Dr. Fate, Kent Nelson, was just he was chewing scenery, and if you bring Pierce Brosnan onto a superhero film to mostly be CG throughout the film, of course he's going to chew the scenery, right?
Yeah, I like that Pierce Brosnan directly elected to have fun on this project. He was just like, no, I'm just gonna play with it. Don't even worry. I'm gonna have a good time.
Yeah.
I don't care if you do, but I will.
I'm gonna.
And for every moment of brooding with Dwayne Johnson, Aldous Hodge and Pierce Brosnan just chewed scenery. And what I love about Aldous is he was essentially his character from Leverage in this film. He was snarky, he was fun, he was goofy. It was one of those things that I've seen him in a lot of other films play really wonderful, get lost in character kind of characters. But this, he literally took his snarky Leverage character and went, yeah, I'm going to be a superhero as him. And it was great. I loved it. It was a little long, I think. It didn't need to be 2 hours. Have both of you seen the film?
Yes.
No, I have not.
You've not. Have you been keeping up with any of the DC stuff, or?
I like DC Comics. I have been less inclined to watch the films. I liked the second Suicide Squad, but most of the DC movies I have seen have been pretty underwhelming, so I haven't been running out to watch them unless someone's like, hey, you really need to watch this, it's really good.
Got it.
I would love to say that I could say that about Black Adam, but I can't.
You're on a comic book to movie podcast, so
it was mid.
Yeah, it was fine.
It was fine. I don't think there's going to be any legacy to this movie that is going to last beyond its moment in the sun. And every time The Rock is like, I have more opinions. I'd like to tweet them, please.
And that's about what I heard about it as well, which is why I haven't really gone out of my way to make sure that it is something that I spend 2 hours of my life doing.
Yeah,
that's fair.
If you want to watch a good movie that's similar to this, just go watch T2.
Yeah.
Go watch the second Terminator movie, because that's what this movie wants to be.
More or less.
Oh God, I haven't watched the second Terminator movie in a long time. I've rewatched the first one a bunch, but it's been a while since I've really just done it all.
The thing about this film, so what's interesting is Dwayne Johnson with Black Adam did the same thing that Ryan Reynolds did with Deadpool, more or less. The Black Adam is a character that Dwayne Johnson has always loved and has always wanted to play. And when DC kind of caught wind of that, they started collaborating, and then he started pushing for it. And I believe he's listed as a producer. I'll have to double check, but I know he's been pushing for this film for so long and trying to get it through the DC machine so he could play this character. And I respect that, right? Especially when you have he's a talented actor. He is not a bad actor. He has done some really cool stuff in his time. And so I get wanting to do this. I think the difference between his delivery and Ryan Reynolds' delivery is I think Deadpool is just a better quality film for what it's trying to be. Mm-hmm. But also I think Deadpool was easier to love because it was funny and fun and kind of joyous. Whereas this is meant to be brooding and darker. It's not Justice League dark. It's not Man of Steel dark, but it's not a hugely different tone. I think, honestly, Rachel, you said it was mid. I think this is what Man of Steel could have been if it had a bit of a better director or better direction or better writing, because I don't hate Man of Steel either. I think it's a fine Superman movie. It's Batman vs Superman that I think kind of kills the Henry Cavill steam. But I thought that first film was fine. It wasn't great, but I thought it was fine. And I think this is kind of that. And it's a bummer because I think it's got a really great cast and a really great story, and also it's mostly POCs. Most of the cast is POCs. My spouse is... What? What's the matter?
I'm going to have to talk for a second.
Okay, what's up?
Outside? You go outside?
I guess my dog needs to go out. I think what's that's really impressive is that most of the cast is POC. For sure, all of the extras and the place it takes place, it's not in the U.S. It's not a U.S.-centered superhero film, which so many others are. And so I think, unfortunately, people are going to... It's like when Wonder Woman 84, also did poorly. Like, I think people are going to take the wrong lessons from this film because I don't think it's a travesty, but I've also gone on record as saying, like, Zack Snyder's cut of Justice League is better than the asshole's cut of it. It's still not a great movie. I didn't hate all of it. Like, I think there's a lot to love in these DC films, but I think when they succeed, like, Rachel, you and I have talked about this a bunch on this show, reason Birds of Prey, Shazam, the second Suicide Squad, the reason those movies succeed is, I think, because they care more about the characters and the story on a more personal level and, like, a more down-to-earth level. It's less about these gods and these, and I think that's the problem when handling characters like Shazam could have easily kind of gone this way, sort of, because there are darker tones to Shazam, but it was mostly a kid's book, and so they leaned into that for the film, and I think that's why it was a huge success in a way that this one wasn't. And I think also it was just the machine is so fractured, and we have so many superhero films at this point. It's like, I'm looking for a refreshing take on stuff, and this wasn't it. I was entertained. I'm glad I watched it. I would have liked to get a sequel, if only because I like the characters in it. I think that all of the, I don't want to say B tier because they're not, but all of these most popular superheroes, like superheroes who are lesser known, I would have loved to see them get more time in the sun. Like, I would watch a Hawkman TV series on HBO Max with Aldous Hodge, mostly because I'm just a big fan and have a crush on him. But
fair.
It bums me out when something that could have been better isn't. And I don't even know, like, I couldn't another pass this, to bring up our good friend Case, your mortal enemy. Like, I don't know if you can, Rachel. I can't exactly, like, there's a whole back half where Teth Adam gets, like, kind of captured so they can build up to the climax of the film. That felt a little unnecessary.
Oh, you're reminding me of the plot of this movie.
Yeah.
And it's reminding me, I didn't particularly enjoy this one.
Yeah.
It was fine.
Yeah.
Oh God. Oh, and then just like the slow motion Snyder shots that are just too slick.
Yeah.
DC needs to stop being slick.
Yeah.
It's not working.
Yeah.
It's not working.
Yeah.
Like, these are gods in tight underwear.
Yeah.
Be less slick about it.
Yeah.
Thank you.
Like I think what's ultimately the biggest detractor for this film is that it's just a mess. And it's not a mess in the way of, like, it's so easy to be, like, love or hate Zack Snyder. It's easy to dislike his stuff because there are pinpointable things that, like, this is fucked up or this is weird or I don't like this thing.
Oh wow, you're really just codifying a lot of your filmography with the iconography and opinions of fascism, Zach. I'm a little worried about it, Zach. Buddy, hey, your owl movie, real fucking weird, dude. Are you okay? Zach?
And ultimately, like, it's easy to rag on him because you can see some glaring issues, right?
Yeah.
Here, there isn't really. It's just a fine film that was kind of boring, and, like, the cool parts, they were kind of just, they almost felt like happenstance. Like, I thought the CG was actually pretty great for, like, him fighting a demon in the last half hour. The CG wasn't bad. Like, a lot of that stuff lately has looked sloppy and not great. Also because, Marvel is doing a poor job of actually taking care of the people who do that stuff. But that aside,
Yeah.
The obvious stuff at least, I think that, like, I couldn't go out tomorrow and say, this movie needs fixing because here's the problems. I think it's just another one of the average superhero films that we've gotten quite a few of at this point.
Yeah, it lives in so much of the trappings of all of the movies that came before it that it just kind of is like, okay, we're gonna hit those beats.
Yep.
And at a certain point it just becomes very derivative.
Yep.
How many more times can we have the third act be beam in the sky, bunch of faceless enemies that are just like robots or skeletons or aliens or whatever that we can just fill them with orcs, and it's just like, I think that's a switch up that needs to occur, and I think that's why it's so hard to fix Black Adam, because it is strategically hitting the beats of your superhero origin movie.
Yeah.
It's just not doing anything else.
It's just like here it is. Hi.
I mean, I think
this
part
is
of
what you wanted. Here's your meat product. I mean,
I think love or hate the Marvel machine, the thing that they did right in the beginning was slow building to Avengers, because now you have several franchises that are sunsetting while others are coming. And so you have established properties like Spider-Man and Black Panther and Doctor Strange and all these others that are going to go on for a little while as they sunset Thor and like change up Captain America. So you're getting new origins for some of these, but in a sea of, like, we're going to get a Blade movie at some point with Mahershala Ali, which I'm very excited for because I love him. But it's going to be probably an origin story on some level, right? Who is Blade? Why is he here?
Yeah.
But that's going to be in a sea of sequels and threequels that, like, the people who are looking to feel, like, comfortable can be like, well, I know what I'm getting with the next Ant-Man or whatever. And who knows? Maybe Quantumania will change it up. It's possible. But, like I think Black Panther 2 was very much outside of what I expected of it, and I didn't know what to expect. And so those things will happen because they have so much stuff. Like, if you don't like one thing, you're on to the next. Like, I happen to love Moon Knight. A lot of people didn't, but then we were on to She-Hulk and whatever else. Also, something I enjoyed that a lot of people didn't. Like, but it doesn't matter if I did or didn't. You know, same with Star Wars. I haven't watched Andor yet. I need to catch up. But, like, it's just there's so much of it now that if you don't like one thing, you can move on to the next. Hell, even with the Sonic movie, like, I love the first and second Sonic movie, but now we have a Netflix series that I've only just started watching. That was my original goal, was to bring Sonic Prime as my thing, but I only got 3 episodes in, and then I was like, oh, but this is a podcast, I got to edit it, and I want to play this game. It's like, there's just, as we always talk about, there's too much stuff, and so I think
too much consumable media, and now every art installation that is churning out movies and television is moving at a TikTok pace.
Yeah.
And it's overwhelming.
Yeah.
And I think that's the biggest problem with this movie. I think if this had come out closer to Shazam and during the height of the, whether you love it or hate it, DC machine, maybe it would have stood a chance. But this kind of came out in isolation. We got Suicide Squad, I think last year or the year before. I think it was last year. But like, they also had Joker, which was not good and not well received. Like, that was a whole mess also. Like, the problem is, I think, is that DC doesn't have a plan, which can make it more interesting. It's how we get to Birds of Prey, but it's also how we get Black Adam. Now, it does seem like James Gunn does have a plan. I happen to like James Gunn mostly. It's a bummer that Henry Cavill is now officially not Superman. I thought he did a good job as the character. I was excited to see him get another shot, not under the wing of Zack Snyder. But it is what it is. Honestly, all these characters, while I don't agree that we don't have movie stars anymore, I do agree that a lot of the times the characters are the stars, right? Like, Captain America can continue on without it being Chris Evans, right? Iron Man can come back as Ironheart without Tony Stark, right? Those kinds of things. And so I think if we have a new Batman, and I happen to like him a lot. I hope that they continue with the Batman's universe, because ultimately I really did enjoy that movie. But, like, we'll have a new Superman. Let's get a person of color as Superman. That'd be lovely. Like, let's expand and grow these characters if we're going to reboot them again in unique and interesting ways. So ultimately, I liked Black Adam enough that I would recommend it to anyone who likes Black Adam. If you're a fan of the character, this is an easy watch. If you're a fan of the character, I think it does interesting things, but I don't think ultimately it is an interesting superhero film. It is just another superhero film. If you want to see an interesting take on the Shazam kind of line, watch the first Shazam film. We're getting a sequel soon, and I think that one at least was way more entertaining and definitely a lot funnier.
Yeah, because our main actor was making choices in the role.
Correct.
Sorry, I just want one more at the movie before I ask the question. Oh, The Rock. Oh, sweet baby. You're the highest. You're like the highest paid actor ever. Can you give me like faces?
Yeah.
Can you bring back your Poontang Pie era where you made expressions and had levels?
Raise some eyebrows. He didn't raise his eyebrow once in this film.
Yeah,
Come on.
It's fine. It's fine. I'm not worried about it. Matt.
Yes.
If you had to sum up Black Adam in just 3 words, and you cannot use Black or Adam, how would you sum this up?
Energetic, but okay.
A glowing review.
I mean, I will say that the supporting cast, all the non-superhero characters, were also great. The young boy, I can't remember his name, but who played Amon, was great. He was just great. I like annoying kids in films. I don't know. see Iron Man 3, which I've come full circle on. I hated and then I loved. The kid in that film, phenomenal. Like, I like kids in superhero movies, I think, because, that's who these films are for. Yeah. The kid was a super fan of superheroes. Because, that's the point. So, yeah. Anyway, I think if you're a fan of Black Adam or you're curious about another superhero film, watch it. If you have no interest in either of those things, skip this one. There'll be something else like it in a year.
Breakneck speeds here.
Yeah.
Don't worry. You didn't like that? Something else.
Other things coming around the corner.
30 seconds.
Look, I've given up on keeping up. I'm replaying one of my favorite games of all time now. It's like the schedule is just like trying to play all the new things. I can't do it anymore. By the way, remind me after the show, Rachel, I have a game recommendation for you that I played recently, an indie game.
Thank you.
You're welcome. But this is not a show about video games. It's a show about movies and TV and other watchable media. Rachel, what is the most recent thing you have watched?
I saw the Big Blue Cat movie.
Here it is.
It happened.
Way of the Water.
James Cameraman presents I'm in Love with the Shape of Water. I've been thinking about dumb titles for it. I will say, in preparation for this cinematic event, I did watch the original Avatar twice on Sunday.
Wow.
How did I watch it twice? I watched it once at 1.5 speed and then again at times 10 speed. And frankly, I recommend watching that one really fast.
I mean, the dialogue is arguably unimportant.
Yeah,
so
and there's
not much happens, really.
Yeah, it's very pretty.
It is.
It's a beautiful, beautiful movie. I was just
immersive,
talking about this
world idea. You know,
I could tell you almost nothing. I've seen it one time, the first one in theaters. I could tell you almost nothing about the actual plot, other than there's a bit of white saviorism that felt a bit weird, and that it was beautiful. Those are the only two things I can remember about that movie.
The planet and all of its people connect via bioluminescent internet
by tubes,
like
by
through
tubes.
tubes.
It's just a series of tubes, Rachel.
A bunch of tubes, just the tubes. I love tubes.
I know you love tubes.
And so I walked into the way of water with very low expectations.
Mm-hmm.
But I liked it. I thought it was real good. I thought it was quite fun. Mm-hmm. Overall, it's really
fun
just like,
at the movies.
I know. I watched it in 3D, and I don't know if I can recommend it because there's some like frame rate stuff that happens in certain. Because it's all like digitally crafted. That just felt a little video gamey, but like honestly, even those moments didn't quite break my immersion because James Cameron has been working so hard to make movies with just lots of water because he loves water, and he tries to drown his actors because he loves water so much, and he just gets to do that with this one, and he fucking loves the water, and it's nice.
I'm proud of him.
It's very pretty.
I'm proud of him.
And the water is very lovely. The newer design of the sea Na'vi people, they look great. Everybody looks so good. The hair looks real. It's lovely. And it kind of does the work of like reminding you of what was cool about the first one.
Sure.
Sort of like hitting some fan service beats for it, but sort of building out to these next things and these really cool ideas. And once again, James Cameron is like, yeah, what if alien invasion, but we humans are the fucking aliens, and we're pieces of shit. Just a bunch of capitalist pieces of shit. Don't worry, James Cameron has got you in this one. Ooh.
I remember the first one, my friend's right-wing father watched that film and went, I thought it was fine, but I didn't like how the Americans were the bad guys. And I'm like, yeah, you're missing the point.
Oh, boy.
I'm glad to actually, you know what? I'm excited to hear that it's really good because
I enjoyed it. It didn't feel like it was a million years long. Like,
no. The first one does.
It really could be a lot shorter. It could, but honestly, I get it, James Cameron. I fucking love water too. I get it.
Does it have the same vibe of like white guy in blue face come in, save everything for natives, or is it like a little bit more native centric?
It's more focused on Jake and Natiri's children.
Okay.
So like that sort of feeling of like newness in a new space that Jake goes through.
Cool.
Kind of the same, because like they come to the sea people, you know, and so it's kind of like they have to learn the ways of the sea people. So it has that, but it's through the lens of the kids, and the kids are pretty fun. You know,
cool. How old are the kids?
I think they're like young teens.
Okay.
And all of them are, except for Sigourney Weaver, obviously, who's voicing one of the children, which is wild.
Wait, Sigourney Weaver is voicing one of the children.
Yes,
and
you can hear it in the trailers. Like,
but is she still playing the doctor from the human side also?
I don't know if I should explain more.
Okay, never mind.
Okay.
Never mind.
No spoilers.
Just leave it. Just leave it. That's fine.
That information stuff hits like a bag of bricks, and you're just like, what?
What is happening?
James Cameron just went, how do we get them all? How do we play the hits? Fuck it, who cares?
Okay.
Let's
all right,
go.
Sigourney Weaver's a child now. It's fine.
I'm eventually going to see it, so I'll wait and find
out. Enjoy it this holiday season.
Only in theaters.
Yeah.
Until it's not.
In the meanwhile, I can recommend Arcane because I watched it.
I'm so glad you watched it. I loved it so much.
It's real good.
There's some, as a music nerd, there's something about like, we were talking about Black Adam before, like the needle drops in the first 2/3 of that movie were insufferable because they are so obvious. There's some later on that are a little better, but the thing about Arcane is that all of its needle drops are necessary to telling the story. All the music they choose fits the narrative, and I love that about Arcane.
Arcane taught me that Imagine Dragons is just an anime band.
Correct, and they're are best like, when they're doing that.
Yeah, just
do that song whips.
Themes.
Yeah,
that song I listened to
so good
constantly when it first came out. I was obsessed with it. It's so good. So I'm curious about with Way of Water. Like, no, seriously, like
Way of Water AMA. Here we go.
Genuinely, I didn't hate the first movie. I thought it was textbook and like all of the white savior stuff, but I thought it was entertaining, which is the purpose,
honestly,
right?
The concept of this world and its mechanics and how it the character dynamic between like the invading aliens and like the native aliens, like they're different sizes, it's different gravity. Also, they can load their memories into the planet like it's the internet, and like that's scientific and an actual measurable thing that they can do. I think carries this so far.
Okay.
Like its world building is so strong. That's why I think being very cookie cutter, beat by beat. The framing device is he's a vlogger, you know.
I mean, look, the first movie had unobtainium, so like we can get past that.
Oh boy, don't worry, James Cameron's got you in this one too. Don't worry. Don't forget, there's precious items that humans want.
I mean, honestly, I think so. I liked the first Avatar movie well enough. I'm excited to actually see the second one. I also got to go to Animal Kingdom.
The ride is
Florida,
amazing.
And the ride is incredible. And so, like, it makes you want to be in that. The ride makes you want to live in that world.
Yeah.
And, like, that's what I have heard so far that this movie also does. The first movie sort of does that. But this movie, you really get steeped in the world and its culture. And, like, it's easy to make fun of because James Cameron had just decided, this is my ship. This is my cash cow. Yeah. I'm making this a thing. Almost like people tell you can't make your own nickname a thing. That's what he did. He's like, this is my world now, and you're going to like it. And honestly, I kind of want it to stick because as we learn more about it, I just think it's interesting. And there's so many other IPs that are derivative of other IPs. And this initially it was Dances with Wolves, essentially, but aliens. But, like, if you've now built out a world and you're explaining these people and you get to, like, learn about their culture and, like, if it leads to video games and other mediums, books that, like, steep you in this world, like... We just burned to the ground a certain wizard world that I don't ever think about again. So, like, give me other fanciful worlds that I can get lost in. Because, like Katie was saying, the first movie was gorgeous, and the special effects were gorgeous. And, like, that I'm always into, right? If you can give me a spectacle, that's almost sometimes as good as quality or other things, you know?
Yeah.
This is spectacle. Don't worry. James has got you covered.
I was going to say, if this world is going to, continue and grow and iterate, like, I would really love to see some actual Indigenous people involved in the creation process.
Yes.
Because I feel like that, for me, has sort of been the biggest thing that has stopped me from just being like, all right, I'm going to go see it or whatever. Just the sort of backlash from that community being like, hey, we don't feel super great about this.
Yeah.
And I think it's a beautiful world. I think that there are some really incredible concepts, and I would love to sort of see that fused together with like actual Indigenous experiences and see like what that could be, as opposed to just being like, I am a rich white man who's going to make my little Indigenous movie about the native people of this planet, and it's not my lived experience at all.
Yeah.
So that's my note, having not seen the second movie.
Yeah, no, and I agree with that, of course.
Yeah.
I thought I had heard that it was better with this one, but I can't confirm that. I haven't done enough of
I had seen something about a boycott being called, but I also don't know that much about it. So I cannot speak very much other than that. Like, I saw a post on Instagram about it, which is not exactly news.
Well, Rachel, if you had to sum up, as we have the errant sounds of scampering and squeaking in the background, as my dog is enjoying himself very much.
Hooray!
I figured I'll just call attention to it, right? It's comedy. Hey. If you had to sum up Avatar, Way of the Water, which I believe is the subtitle, in just 3 words, and you couldn't use the word Avatar, the way of or the water, it's in there somewhere. What words would you choose?
Fuck those humans.
Fair.
That's what I'm gonna pick, because God, the mustache twisting of the villains is definitely toned way down in this one, because there's less of them, which is nice. But boy howdy, do they still just love wrecking these poor Na'vis like shit. They just love it. They're just like, yeah, we're gonna burn their shit. It's fuck them humans. Like, seriously,
humans are the worst.
Disgusting beings. I do love, though. Again, I'm just gonna reiterate. I do love that James Cameron is like, invading aliens are people because they fucked their planet. They killed her. They killed her dead. And they're the bad guys from a dying world. And I'm just
it
like,
doesn't
thank
feel
you.
that fictional, does it?
No, it doesn't at all.
Nope.
Hello.
Hello.
But at the very least, James has enough influence and power to actually go, yeah, this sucks and is bad and is evil, and maybe we should stop killing our planet.
Maybe.
James has got a message. James has got you covered. That's what I've learned today.
James got you covered.
But the thing that's so crazy about that is that, like, people consume and love media that has, like, a strongly, like, anti-capitalist or, like, pro-environment or whatever message, and then go on to be like, that's not what that's about. I don't know what you're talking about. Like, it's just a fun movie. And it's like, you are so intentionally, like, staunchly just being, like, obstinate with what, like, media you are consuming and what the actual meaning behind that media is. But okay.
My favorite example of that, and sometimes it's just plain ignorance, is right-wing people who like Rage Against the Machine.
Oh my God.
That's my favorite example. Because there's so many of it. It's just...
It's
like,
so funny.
Like,
there's
you know
like
what
a tweet.
you know what this song is about, right, my guy? My white guy? You know what the song is about, right?
I can't believe Rage Against the Machine is woke now. It's like,
what?
Dude. Do you know who the machine is? It is not your dishwasher. I promise you that.
Well, thank you for that report, Rachel. I will let you know once I've seen it so we can discuss in depth. Maybe we'll do a spoiler pod. No, we won't. Katie.
No, it's fine.
Yes.
It's fine.
Whatever.
Katie, what is the most recent thing you've watched that you've brought today?
So there's a little bit of a problem, which is that all of my plans last weekend got canceled, which has not happened in like legitimately a year. So I have watched all of Andor, season 1 of Wednesday, season 3 of Mythic Quest, and both seasons of Only Murders in the Building in the last like 4 days.
Amazing.
So I'm not really sure which one to talk about.
You can literally pick any of them.
I haven't seen Andor.
Okay.
So,
I'll leave Andor then.
but I have seen Wednesday, and I loved it.
It's so good.
Why don't you talk about Wednesday? I haven't seen it, so maybe you can pitch me on watching it.
Yeah, I'll talk about Wednesday. Also, Only Murders in the Building, I would like to talk about a little bit because I have already seen it and Ben had not, so I showed it to Ben. Ooh. And then we binged both seasons in a day, and the next day a friend came over and Ben was like, we have to rewatch season 1. So I've watched season 1 twice and season 2 once in the last couple of days. But no, Wednesday, I really enjoyed it. I feel like it takes a lot of the sort of like teen movie tropes, but does it in a way that it doesn't feel like it's like appealing to teens or to kids. Not that like a teen or a kid couldn't watch it, but I'm sitting there as like an almost 30-year-old woman being like, I am completely sucked in. I am very interested in the relationships with these characters. I think they do a really incredible job of, and again, like I have not consumed all of the Addams Family media up till now, so I can only really speak to like my knowledge of the Addams Family and what I saw in season 1 of Wednesday. But they do a really good job of making her just as morbid as you would expect her to be from like the character that is known, but also making her very human and very relatable and giving her connections and bonds with other characters. She's not just a complete loner; she still has that sense of heart. And it's also, it doesn't shy away from gory and gruesome and real, and like definitely has a bit of a horror spin to it, which again, in the context of like a teen movie or teen TV show rather, that's like a juxtaposition that I really enjoyed as well. Which, I mean, it's Tim Burton, right? It's Tim Burton, it's the Addams Family. There's got to be that horror and like that sort of dark side to it, but they do a really good job of balancing the two. And even with the characters in the show, like without giving too much away, her roommate and her are polar opposites. Mm-hmm. And the shots, like the cinematography of their room and of the porch outside their room and the way that they use the light and the dark for composition, and not just with her roommate, but they also have that with Morticia at certain points where the camera will be facing Morticia and there's like this light glow coming off of her, and then it faces Wednesday and Wednesday is totally in shadow. So they make some really interesting choices, and there's a lot of, question of sort of like, can a good person be bad, or can a bad person be good? Are you innately a certain way? Like, what is nature versus nurture? And they play with that in the film composition as well, which I took notice of and was like, this is very cool. The music is also really good. The cello is just absolutely fucking incredible. I don't know if you can curse on here. Yes. But I saw on TikTok the other day that there's a cello like arpeggio from, I forget which part of it, but basically it's unplayable. Like, you literally cannot play it because it is so complex. So there was like a challenge going around to see if anyone could actually play it, and like 2 people got sort of close, but it is like so intricate and so complex and so fast that it is like nigh impossible to actually play, just like with no kind of splicing or slicing or anything like that, which I thought was very cool. Yeah, I really liked Wednesday. I have a lot of thoughts on like plot twists and things like that, but I don't want to do spoilers. Okay. But I do very quickly want to say that Only Murders, I think, has become potentially one of my favorite TV shows ever after watching it a second time. Just because like the cast is incredible. You have like Martin Short, Steve Martin, and then Selena Gomez, who I honestly, not that I like was or wasn't a fan of her, I just like, I saw her on Wizards of Waverly Place like 1.5 million years ago, as everyone did. Uh-huh. But she really holds her own against incredible. 2 like massive powerhouses that have been in the industry for forever. Yeah. They do a really good job of adding in like interesting meta commentary that is funny but doesn't feel super campy. I again talk about music. The music in that is just I was with my fiance and our friend, both of whom are musicians, and our friend is also a tango dancer, and she was like, all of these are tango themes. Like, almost all the music is tango music in this, which I didn't even put 2 and 2 together as someone who also studied music, but it's really interesting that the themes and motifs that they use musically in that show. And then on top of that, it's just a fun mystery. Mm-hmm. Like, again, it's a feel-good show that also isn't afraid to shy away from dark themes and dark topics, and I mean death, but also like death in other contexts and grief and loss and all of those sort of things, while still being very funny, very watchable, very bingeable. they don't, it's not one of those shows where you can sort of pinpoint who did it on episode 2. Although I will say season 2, I did figure it out. But season 1, I definitely was still guessing until the end. So it's very watchable, I think, is like the biggest thing. It's watchable and not brain dead. Because I feel like a lot of the shows that I watch, I'm just like, I need something to put on the background, are like sitcoms that don't require a lot of mental energy. Whereas this gives me a sitcom feel while also having more depth and complexity underneath it. So both Wednesday and Only Murders, very, very good. Also, Andor was very, very good. I won't talk too much about it because I know, Rachel, you haven't seen it. And Mythic Quest, also very, very good if you haven't watched it. It's on Apple Plus, and basically it's centers around a big video game company. So think like sort of like an Activision Blizzard-esque company that creates like an MMO RPG, and sort of just deals with all of that stuff, and is very much parallels a lot of the issues that you would see when you're creating an MMORPG, like pushing back launch dates and those sort of things. But it's done with a lot of heart. It's really funny. Very sweet. Again, very watchable. We didn't realize that the whole of season 3 is not out. So we finished an episode and we're like, all right, next one. And it was like coming on Friday. And I've never, I felt like someone had just like ripped my heart out of my chest. I was so upset. It's like, what do you mean I can't watch the next episode now? I'm so invested. But yeah, actually, just all hits across the board for TV binging this weekend. Nothing that I would say don't watch that.
Love that.
Yeah.
I mean, we're fans of Only Murders here on this show.
Yeah.
I
so
love it
good.
a lot. And Wednesday, it's funny. Like, I haven't watched it yet. My spouse has wanted to watch it, and I want to also. And so I have an important question for you, Katie, because
Yes.
the vibe I've been getting from it. Well, first I just have to say, Luis Guzman as Gomez, like, inspired casting.
Yes.
Like, I'm mad it took this long.
Yes.
It's giving me like Riverdale vibes. Is it not as wacky and off the wall as Riverdale? Because I couldn't do it. I watched like 3 seasons of Riverdale. I drank the Kool-Aid, and then it just got too wacky for me. I had to jump ship.
I also watched about 3 seasons of Riverdale. I remember season 1 I liked. I was surprised at how much I liked season 1 of Riverdale.
Agreed.
And then after a certain point, it just got so convoluted and like was just using like, it was kind of like anything it could use, it did use. It was like, we have ghosts now, and we have psychics, and there's a werewolf, and we're time traveling. And you're just like, where are we? What is happening? At least from season 1, I feel like there is a cohesive world that they have built and cohesive rules within that world, which I feel like Riverdale really didn't have.
Okay.
It was like, we're in high school, but also now there's supernatural stuff, and just kind of would like throw things in that didn't necessarily jive or mesh well. And again, 1 season, so I can't really say for sure that they are going to do that, but it did feel like, like here is the world we are working in. Yes, there is fantasy, and there is vampires, there are werewolves, there are gorgons, there are, all of these things, psychics, people who can paint and their paintings come to life. But within that, I don't know, almost felt like, and I hate to use this as a comparison because we don't talk about it anymore, but it's almost like Hogwarts rules, right? Where it's like, that the magic exists, this is the place where the magic is, there are specific rules about how the magic can exist, and hopefully they will continue just to build on that world as opposed to kind of start to break it down and change things as the seasons go on. I don't know how you feel about it, Rachel, but that was the vibe that I was getting.
Yeah, that's definitely it has that whimsical magical school thing, that I think we crave now that we've lost one. But I honestly kept comparing it to The Chilling Adventures of Sabrina, which is also sort of based in that
still have not seen that one either.
universe. And Wednesday asks and answers the question, what if Chilling Adventures wasn't a miserable slog to watch? What if it was fun? What if it was fun and also anti-colonialist in a way that makes sense,
Yes.
versus Sabrina being like, we're feminist, but we're going to do a gay panic. Take that. Don't watch Sabrina. Please don't.
I have not seen it.
I'm glad I haven't.
Don't plan on watching it.
It's very confused about its politic, which I cannot say about Wednesday. I think Wednesday is very clear on its ideas and politic and what it wants to communicate, especially with, as Katie was saying, no one being completely evil or completely good.
Yes. Well,
You know.
arguable that there might be a couple completely evil characters by the end, but yes, for the most part, it's lots of shades of gray and lots of nuance. And even, like, who was I having this conversation with recently? I don't need a villain to not be completely evil. I just need to understand why they are the way they are, right?
Correct.
I think that evil for evil's sake is lazy writing.
Yes.
But you can be just truly a pure evil character that has no redeeming qualities if we can see how you got to that place.
Yeah.
I'm cool with it. Like, that is
agree.
A-okay by me. And I feel like even though the big bad at the end is pretty much just a piece of shit, like, you understand why they're doing the things that they are doing, and I appreciate that.
Yeah.
Yeah.
I mean, that's something that Rachel and I have talked about a lot here, especially the superhero stuff we were talking about earlier.
Yeah.
Like, the best villains in those films are the ones that maybe are really doing evil stuff, but maybe they have a good reason for it.
Yeah.
And,
Yes.
that makes them compelling.
A good
Yes.
villain doesn't believe that they're the villain of their story. They
Correct.
think that they're doing the right thing, even if it's
Yep.
like, that's the right thing for me,
Yes.
getting rich. But being rich is good.
Or
You can
there's
do
another
things.
where, like, someone has been so corrupted by X, Y, and Z thing that it warps them. But even when they're
Yeah.
warped in that way, I think that they still have to believe in their core that, not necessarily that they're making the world a better place, but that there is a reason for what they're doing.
Yeah.
Right.
That reason can be destroying everything because they think everything is terrible and needs to go. But, like, that's still, there's a reason. There's, like, from birth to where they are now, like, they had a life, they experienced things, and that got them to this point in which they are doing whatever horrible thing it is that they are doing.
Yeah. Katie, if you had to sum up Wednesday
Ooh.
in just 3 words, and one of those words could not be the word Wednesday. Also, you can't use her name Wednesday or the day of the week Wednesday.
Sure,
Either
sure.
of them. They're both.
At one point in the show, they said something about, like, Thursday, and for a minute, I forgot that Thursday was a day of the week. I was like, which character's Thursday? And I was like, oh, I'm an idiot. This is fine.
You know, I think I had that same moment where it was like,
You're so used to hearing Wednesday as a name that then you hear Thursday and you're like, is that her sister?
wait,
Who's-
yeah.
Yeah, ooh, okay, 3 words. Engaging, dark, and fun.
Engaging, dark, fun.
Yeah.
Love it. Okay. Yeah, I've not been putting it off because I'm not interested. It's mostly that it just has not been my priority. I mean, truth be told, my priority has been Fleischman is in trouble because my spouse is in that. In 3 of the episodes.
That's
and so that's
super
been fun
fair.
to watch. It's also, by the way, if folks haven't watched it, is actually really great.
Cool.
But I've been wanting to watch Wednesday. I love the Addams Family, but also we've gotten so many iterations of the Addams Family that I did at first look at it and go, ugh, another one.
Yeah, it's a kind of nice twist, just like
Yeah.
plucking this one character out. It's a little weird to have an Addams in a world where everyone's kind of strange and
Right.
like,
Because that's the whole point was
like,
that
the
they
whole
were the
point is,
strange
like,
ones.
They're,
But
they're
they
weird.
do talk about how she's, like, an outcast in a world of outcasts. So, like, even within the realm of, like, the outcasts at this school, she is still doesn't fit into any of the main social groups. But yes, I do agree with you, Rachel.
Yeah,
that it's sort
where
of
it's
like,
just kind of like, that's kind of the shtick of the Addams, and it's strange to pull one of those characters
Right.
out of the
yeah.
shtick.
I will say,
But
I
I
was kind of
liked
sad
it.
that we didn't get more of the 4 of them together.
Yeah.
Which I know was not the purpose of the show. Like, that's
Right.
the whole point. But I like their dynamic. Like, I like Morticia and Gomez. I like Pugsley. I like the way that they, like, interact together as if his name is Pugsley, right?
Yes. Correct.
Okay. I was like, did I say that wrong? Great. But the way that they act, like the sibling dynamic, the parent dynamic, the, like, mother-daughter dynamic, interesting. But you really only got to see that in, like, 2 or 3 out of the 8 episodes. But that being said, I enjoyed the other characters and, like, the new people that were introduced. I think it was very interesting to, like, the trope of sort of like, there are these 2 guys that are vying for this one girl, and it was like a very quintessential teen movie trope that I was like, this was a little bit unnecessary, but I will forgive it because the rest of it is very good.
Yeah, it's fine that they're basic. It's cool.
It's okay.
It's okay.
And like, you know, at a certain point, it's sort of like, you know, having like the clicks, like the Mean Girls clicks. It's like, all right, I see what you're doing. Like, I respect the hustle. How's that?
Didn't we all date a little basic before realizing that we were some shade of queer?
Yeah,
Yes,
for sure.
pretty much.
Yeah,
100%.
You know,
Sure.
I can't begrudge Wednesday.
Yeah, I guess. I feel like Wednesday has to at least be bi. Like, there is no way that girl
There's
is
no
just
way
like
straight.
white bread straight. That
Nope.
just
Also, considering the parentage, who are also definitely not straight.
definitely not straight.
No. Yeah.
For sure, no.
Well, thank you, Katie, for bringing that show.
Yeah.
And thank you for being here. I'm really excited to have you on. So you are one of the masterminds behind Amateurish Production.
If I say mastermind, but I definitely keep the lights on. That's for sure.
I've loved the stuff that y'all have been doing. It's a lot of TTRPG stuff, and like I like it because it feels welcoming. And like we talked, so you and your incredible partner did a unique episode of Side Quest, the side series for fun and games here on the network. Where you had approached me to do an episode about World of Warcraft, and I said, "Great, it's usually only one person." You're like, "Oh well, my idea is with my fiance. I don't know if I want to do that game if we can't do it together." And I was like, "You know what? Let's try something different, right? It's usually just one person, but go for it." And it ended up being fantastic. The two of you
a lot of fun.
do this like dual conversation about an experienced player, which was him, and a new player, which was you, and I thought it was great.
Yeah. Fun.
The reason I bring that episode up, one, shameless plug, but two, because I think it really shows the dynamic that you and Ben have that I think has made this successful. Have you guys always wanted to get into the TTRPG space? Or are you like born, raised TTRPG nerds? Like, how did this kind of come to be?
Kind of. So I am like a born and raised nerd and storyteller. So my dad, very well-known comic book writer, very much raised in that household with the emphasis on fantasy, fiction, storytelling. How do you tell a good story? How do you write good, fully fleshed out characters? All that sort of thing.
Right.
I did theater forever. I was a drama poli-sci double major in college. Very much into sort of experimental productions and like different ways of storytelling and all that kind of stuff. And once I graduated college and I was like, hey, I don't want to rely on theater to feed myself because I don't want to starve and this industry is terrible and cutthroat and there's nepotism everywhere, which, like, you know, is not necessarily a reason not to do it, but when I was just out of college and had zero money to my name, was sort of like, all right, I'm gonna do something that's gonna like let me exist and survive. But like I always felt like I was missing that storytelling, acting component because that had been what I did literally my entire life. Like I have been writing stories since before I physically knew how to write. My dad would type up the things that I would say and then we would like workshop them together when I was like 2.
Adorable.
So it was definitely something that like I felt not having in my life. And then I had a friend who recommended that I listen to the Adventure Zone podcast, which was how I was like, oh, this is very interesting. This is like sort of a way to look at improv with these sort of random chance factors that I think make storytelling very interesting. So I got like, I spent, I don't know, a couple months just like binging every TTRPG podcast I could find. And at this point I had never played, but like fully understood every single rule, all the ins and outs, like all of that kind of stuff. And then Ben and I met on Hinge on our first date. We were talking about podcasts. He was like, oh, I'm listening to this podcast. It's called The Adventure Zone. And I was like, shut the fuck up. We have to talk right now. Where are we going after this? Like, and he had played a lot of TTRPGs. Like his first time DMing, he DM'd for I think 13 or 14 people. Like he was very experienced. So he was like, all right, like you clearly are like super into this. Like we've got to get you playing. So I played like my first campaign with actually 2 of my coworkers with Ben DMing. And it very much became something that was kind of the way that I stayed social, especially like through the pandemic, through 2020. Right. Had this ongoing game with 2 of my friends who also actually have a D&D podcast, but it was an offline game where we would just like meet up like once a month, continue the story. And I think I've always wanted to be doing something creative. I think I didn't know for a while, especially in my early 20s, what that was going to be. And then finding TTRPGs, it was like, okay, this is a thing that scratches my storytelling itch, it scratches my acting itch, it scratches my improv itch, and it's really cool mechanically because I'm also a bit of like a nerd for analytics and that sort of thing. So it really just had all of the things that I wanted. And then, we'd been like, we should stream, maybe we shouldn't stream, we're so busy, we're doing a million things.
Yeah.
And eventually we're just kind of like, all right, like, what's the worst that's going to happen? Like, we're going to get a couple people who tune in or no people who tune in. Like, that's not a reason not to do it. And also just the community is very saturated, but it's also very saturated with a lot of like really highly produced content. Yeah. And we were kind of like, that's not who we are. We are very much like goofy. We love what we do. We love telling good stories, but we are never going to be the people who are like making these really, really well done with gorgeous scores and all that kind of stuff, like filmed and edited. So like, it's a different flavor, right? It's a very, amateur, unprofessional, sort of like the words that we were going with, vibe to it, but also hopefully telling stories that are meaningful and interesting and fun. And just kind of started streaming. It was a lot of fun. Met some really awesome people. I think also just the like people in the TTRPG space and in sort of like the nerddom space that I have met are just such cool people who it's so much fun. Like Rachel, like getting you to come and now like joining in our main campaign that we're going to be doing, which is Tuesdays in January at 9 p.m. at twitch.tv/amateurish productions. And, it's been such a cool experience to be able to meet other people who are similar to me and similar to Ben in the things that we enjoy doing and being able to, I feel like I spent a lot of my early to mid 20s just hanging out with people who didn't have similar interests to me because they were the people that worked at my job or lived in my building or whatever it was.
Right.
So it's been just overall such a nice kind of like, I don't want to say life-changing because that sounds so dramatic, but like in a lot of ways it has been life-changing because it's like finding people who are like-minded and who enjoy doing the same things for the same reasons that I do. And in that we've had this channel and we have done a lot of one-shots. Campaign is starting, which is going to be really cool. We also have done a lot of just straight world building streams, which have been super fun because Zeki, Ben, and Zeki is the third person who has sort of been doing the channel with us, have been building the world for this campaign, and people have been able to pop in and be like, hey, I have an idea. Like, wouldn't it be cool if like X, Y, or Z thing happened? And then we're able to kind of include the community in the creation of this world. I feel like I've gotten a little off topic from the question that you asked.
No, it's okay. Like honestly, like I'm glad that you do the world building streams because I am someone who's the forever player. Like DMing seems impossible to me. Says the person who produces and hosts too many podcasts.
Sure,
I can't possibly make a D&D campaign.
Yeah, but you don't have to do character voices when you edit a million things, or think, oh God, how do I have to flirt with this person? Why does this player?
I'm always thinking about how I have to flirt with some person. That's always on my mind.
Always thinking about flirting. How can you forget it?
How can you forget? But like a lot of also the popular ones. Like I tried the Adventure Zone. I couldn't. It's a lot. Like the scope of Critical Role and Adventure Zone and all that stuff. I listen to my friends' more small scale stuff. I love Scruffy Nerf Herders when it was running on our network. We've done some Mass Effect ones for my Mass Effect podcast, small one shots. Like, that stuff's easier for me. But, like, those shows, as far as I can tell, don't often show the world building. They're often just telling you the stories. And so I think it's really cool that on the smaller scale you're doing that because I, as a forever player, am fascinated by the world building that I can't possibly do. And so I think that's really cool. I think that also, Rachel, like, I feel like, Rachel, you'll agree, like, I think, and we talk about this with the podcast, you have to do something that's different, right? You can't be what's already out because if you do that, how are you going to compete with those things? It's why this show is 90% goofs because like why are we going to have, and yet we still have serious conversations about cinema and movies and how like the world needs to change and improve and all that, but like I think you could do both. But like I think it's really cool that Amateurish seems to just be like, this is who we are and this is what we're bringing you, and you could either jump on board or go watch one of the other more highly produced ones.
Yeah.
I mean, it's very authentic. It's always been very authentic to who we are as people, and what matters to us, which is never been the production and has always been the characters in the story.
Yeah. And it's nice to play as an artistic endeavor, as a real character playing this game,
Yeah.
I think when you get to that, I really want to tell this really clean, tight story. That chaos of it's going to take you an hour to beat this one mimic. You just kind of lose that. And I love just the frenetic, who knows what's going to occur episode to episode, because we're all just agreeing in the moment that that's what's happening. And I've had so much fun playing with amateurish productions because of that factor. It's just
That's good to hear, honestly.
We're going to go.
And, I think, one thing that we have been talking about a lot in these world-building sessions is that we want to tackle interesting subjects and we want to look at things that are complex. But what we're sort of doing is setting up a complex world so that whatever we do in that world, there's a lot of these threads to pull on. One thing that we were talking about today is, the concept that my character comes from this small island that's essentially the Prolori, who are the ancient gods. They're not really gods in the tradition. Not too much lore dumping, but basically these people are the first people and descendants of the first people, and that they have kind of created this bubble of knowledge and of culture, and almost this small bubble of utopia that is very scholarly, et cetera, et cetera. And we were talking about is it ethical to have a utopia on a planet where there is so much wealth disparity and so much sort of inclination towards dystopia in other parts of the planet, and looking at the ethics of how you can justify having a society like that exist when there is rampant late stage capitalism and poverty, and you have children who are all this kind of stuff. So kind of setting up things like that we can look at and can explore, but also don't have to if that's not where the story goes. So that we still manage to have those threads and have those themes and have complicated relationships and complicated characters and a complicated political system, that we don't have to kind of railroad us into going in a certain direction. We can pick which of those threads we decide to follow.
That's great. That's amazing. I think also why I've been able to kind of dive in, I think, on your stuff is because you don't have the legacy of all the other stuff that others shows. It's nice to jump in on something when it's new. You feel like a part of it, and I think you have a very welcoming community also that just kind of all feel like they're part of the process, which I think is really neat.
Yeah, the community has been really great. We have a couple people that literally show up to every stream we do, and if they're not there, I'm like, oh, where are they?
What happened?
What happened? And I think that the to your point about things like Critical Role that have this legacy of content, we are trying to, even if we're going to be doing this campaign, right? But we're going to keep doing one-shots. We're going to keep doing sort of shorter things, just because we know that some people are in it for the campaign and some people are in it and they just want to have something fun to watch on a Tuesday night and don't necessarily want to get all of that lore and have to catch up and have to be all right,
right.
What happened the last 8 weeks? Because I didn't know this was extant until now. But the other thing is that I think what we're probably going to do, at least for the next, 6 to 8 months, is have our one-shots happen in the same world. So that we can still be world building and have sort of Easter eggs and things for people who want to follow everything. But also if you don't have to, and you can still enjoy it. And then we can still get that additional world building for ourselves while kind of covering all our bases that way.
Brilliant. I love it. I know you have a heart out, so I don't want to keep you too much longer.
I told them I was going to be a little bit late, so we can go for a couple more minutes.
Okay. Well, I would love to give you enough time to. First of all, I want to thank you for joining us. This has been great.
Thank you for having me. This has been so much fun.
It's been great to get to know you over the last few months online.
Yeah,
I'm bummed that we didn't get to hang out at PAX Unplugged. I didn't end up making it, but.
We were only there for a day. We were supposed to be there for the whole weekend, so it's totally fine.
but I too am in New York, so eventually.
So we will have to meet up at some point.
Have to. It's just. But I would love for you to tell folks before we start to wrap up the show where they can find you online, where they can find Amateurish Production, the best place to tune in, all that good stuff.
So Amateurish Productions is on Twitch, twitch.tv/amateurishproductions, or on Twitter at amateurishpro. prod. We also are setting up our TikTok and our Instagram. I don't know what they are, but they will be there eventually. And then for me, you can find me on pretty much any place that there is social media as Katie Mehra. Mehra has an H, so Mehera. And that's my middle name. It's spelled weird. I don't know why the H is there, but it is. And yes, that's like, Hive, Twitter, Instagram. I have not made a Mastodon yet. I've been holding out.
Neither. Same.
I did. I don't get it.
Hive is so much easier for
Hive
us
is
old
so
folks.
Much easier. Yeah, I don't like learning new things. I am becoming a boomer in my late 20s. It is fine. But yeah, Twitter, Hive, Instagram. If Twitter dies and I have to make a Mastodon, I will do that. But for the time being, those are the big three.
Awesome. Definitely go check all that stuff out. You can see our very own Rachel Quirky Shank on a bunch of that stuff in the nearest future as well. So I guess next we thank. I'm so tired. We thank people. Yes. I don't know what's happening to me.
We have many thanks to give. First and foremost, thank you to John Presnell for the use of the song Aurora off the album Fair Game featuring Stefan Remble.
Also, thank you to the incredible Katie Bugg, who designed our incredible show art, as well as the incredible Case Aiken, who designs our episode art.
Never, Case. You know what you did this. You know what you did this week, Case. You know
Forever Case's enemy.
Yeah. But thank you to the Certain Point of View Podcast Network for once again allowing us to participate, be a part of that little community. There's lots of shows on the network you can check out, like United States of Women.
There you go.
Or Jukebox Vertigo. There's some new ones we got that I learned about 3 days ago at our last quarterly meeting. You can find all of those shows as well as links to our Discord server, which is a lovely time, at certainpov.com.
That is correct, Rachel. Great job. So proud. And also if you are inclined, and I'm practically begging at this point, as all podcasters do, please go to Apple Podcasts or Spotify and rate and review us. It helps us find other community members. It helps grow the show. It helps us to get featured, all that good stuff.
Yeah, tell a bird that you like us.
That's true. Yell at a bird.
Yell at a bird.
Always yell at birds.
Always works.
You can also, of course, find us on Twitter at @screen_snark. You can also send us an email at screensnarkpod@gmail.com. And please just engage. We love chatting on the Discord. It keeps growing. We keep bringing on some new cool shows, and we've got some really cool changes in the new year for the network as a whole. Yeah. So stick with us.
Fun stuff.
Now it is time for Rachel to ask our guest our final question.
Oh, yes. Oh God, I'm terrified. I didn't know there was a final question.
Yeah, there is.
Good show. Katie, if you had to choose one trope that has been made popular in movies and television to instantly and magically become true in your life, which trope would you choose?
Oh, Wise Old Witch.
Wise Old Witch.
Oh, yeah.
100%.
So do you want to meet a wise old witch, or are you the wise old?
No, I want one. I want one for myself.
Just kick it with an
to help me with all my problems and do magic and shit.
Good.
Ooh, love that. Good answer. Good, original, unique answer. Well, thank you, Katie, again for joining us. Katie. This was a delight. You're wonderful. We will have to have you back on to give us the next time you have another binge weekend. We'll bring you back so you can talk about 4 other shows.
Sounds great.
I also, of course, want to thank my stunning, brilliant, and badass co-host, the one Rachel Quirky Shank. I cannot speak at this moment.
Okay. I want to thank my whatever description I gave to the movie Avatar that I already forgot, co-host Matt, a.k.a. Stormageddon. I forgot what 3 words I used to describe Avatar.
It's fine. It's all good. We're fine. We're all fine here now. How are you?
Did you say wet?
I don't think
wet was one of them, I think. I don't know.
It's water, big wet cats co-host, Matt, a.k.a. Stormageddon.
There we go.
Love it.
All right, we got to go. Thank you, of course, our incredible listeners. We adore you. Thank you for being with us for another year, and we will see you at the movies or on a couch somewhere. Bye-bye.
Aurora, 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 Aurora. Metal
Video games are a unique medium.
They can tell stories,
Immerse us in strange, fantastic worlds.
blur the very boundaries of our reality.
But at the end of the day, video games are fun, whatever fun is to you.
I'm Jeff Moonen.
And I am Matt, aka Stormageddon.
And on Fun and Games, we talk about the history, trends, and community of video games.
It's a celebration of all the games we play and all the fun we find within them.
And there's so many more games out there. So we hope you'll share in that conversation with us.
Fun and Games podcast with Matt and Jeff. Find us on certainpov.com or wherever you get your podcasts.
And happy gaming.
CPOV. CertainPOV.com.